Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday edition of Weekend Waypoints, this time presented by Active Wealth Management. That's our Sunday sponsor for this season of Weekend Waypoints. So shout out to Active Wealth Management. Those guys are a couple guys that I was introduced to last week. Ford Stokes and Sam Davis are kind of running point there. Good guys, college baseball fans. A little birdie actually told me that Sam, in his time back at University of Kansas, actually worked with a baseball program, so kind of has an intimate knowledge of the sport. So that's really cool to be able to work with some guys who are passionate about college baseball, passionate about SEC baseball, and wanted to be involved with what we're doing here. When you call the Active Wealth Management team, you'll learn how to generate a higher income from the income portion of your retirement nest egg and let the rest of your assets grow. You'll also learn how to pay fewer taxes during retirement. I know that sounds pretty nice. In fact, they will help you save six figures in retirement with their strategic Roth ladder conversion services. And perhaps most importantly, you will learn that you can get a fiduciary to fight for you so you can enjoy your retirement. Visit activewealth.com for more information. Below on the banner there, I've got a little note there. Visit activewealth.com and click schedule a consultation to get a free 401k review, which is a $1,500 value at no cost to you. So if you're looking to save for retirement, you're looking to just kind of get ahead, whether you feel like you're ahead of the game, if you feel like you're behind, Ford and his team will help you get back on track and work towards your financial goals. Thank you to Active Wealth Management for being part of D1 Baseball, SEC Extra, Weekend Waypoints team. Let's get into some baseball, and hello to Jeremy Scott dropping in with his Roll Tide. Hello to Mark, not Mark Etheridge, I presume, but hello to Mark there on YouTube. Good to see you guys this morning. Let's be honest, we can be honest with each other, right? Kind of an ugly day in SEC baseball yesterday. You know, Jeremy mentions a football score in one of the games yesterday between Alabama and Lipscomb. Absolutely true, a 20-13 game. But then some unsightly losses. Let me pull up the scoreboard here so we can kind of talk through it together. But, you know, baseball is baseball. There's nothing ugly about baseball in general. But, man, yesterday was rough. So it started early again. Kennesaw State blew out Kentucky again. It says 10 innings here. That's an error on the scoreboard. That was not an 8-run 10th inning for Kennesaw State there. They jumped out to that lead early. But Purdue-Fort Wayne won another game against Missouri. They won the first two in that series before Missouri finally won in the nightcap. Austin Peay took down Auburn 15-6. That's going to be an interesting rubber game today on Sunday between those two teams. Clearly, Austin Peay has come ready to play. They've come ready to play. They have proven that those two games they won against Mississippi State were not just flukes. That because Mississippi State was scuffling at the time, like this team is good. So that's going to be a fun game in Auburn on Sunday. St. Mary's took down Florida again and 9-7. It's got here in the bottom left. Florida, it's not a lack of pitching options, but right now the options they're using are not pitching well. I mean, flatly, they're going to have to pitch better. Liam Peterson has not been as strong as they would have hoped out of the gate. He's a freshman, so we have to give him some time. I think we got spoiled, with guys like Carter Holton and Drew Beam and Chase Burns coming in as freshmen in the SEC, and we thought maybe it was easy if you're talented, but alas, it is not. So we talked about Cade Fisher yesterday. Same deal with Liam Peterson. Luke McNeely came out of the bullpen again. He's another talented freshman. Been starting in the midweek, hasn't gone well. They brought him in the weekend, I think, to try to maybe give him a little different look out of the bullpen, but it's really not. It hasn't worked for him there. So look, they're going to cycle through a lot of options because they've got a lot of arm talent there. But right now, this Florida team, it just doesn't look sharp. I mentioned that yesterday, and they're going to hit plenty. Like that's not in question, right? I mean, the offense is great, but they're going to have to pitch better to be better. So we'll see what they can do moving forward. Ugly scores work both ways, though, right? So like ugly doesn't necessarily always mean bad. So you got Tennessee just walloping Illinois here. Poor Illinois, 24-1. You got Georgia beat the tar out of Northern Colorado twice. Let's see what the other score was. I forget offhand. 14-6. You got the football score with Alabama Lipscomb. All that was exciting in its own way. It was kind of fun. And then Alabama in the nightcap over Lipscomb 10-1. Another solid win for Mississippi State over Evansville. Cal Steven pitched really, really well. More on him in a little bit. So just kind of an ugly day, but some losses, some just ugly games in general. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So, but I think it goes to show that like sleepwalking. This is a good reminder. Again, we talked about this opening weekend, like sleepwalking through a Division I schedule, and I don't care like what we're talking in Division I. Like you just can't sleepwalk through like 85% of the teams in Division I. You have to play well to win games, typically, even against lesser competition. And I think we've seen that. So, all right, let's go through the chat here. We've got some folks here. Armstrong, okay, Armstrong Grappling, who comes in with great hypothetical or maybe even philosophical questions in some cases. You are the coach, and it's one game for all the marbles. You have to complete the 9 innings using only one starting pitcher and one true reliever. Which 2 current pitchers are you going with? My goodness. All right, let me think about that, Armstrong. Let's get to some of the results, and then I'll circle back with that at the end of the episode, because maybe talking about some of the pitching performances Saturday in the SEC will kind of get me thinking about that. So, okay, game of the day was kind of tough. I mean, just because we talked about how so many of these games were kind of ugly. I'm actually going to go with Arkansas 3, McNeese 1, which was in the first game of the Arkansas doubleheader yesterday. I watched some of that, and I hadn't seen a ton of Arkansas this year. I think their games had just kind of, their games had kind of like butted up against the games I had been to. So it was just that, and the quality of the opposition, except for that second weekend when they played great games. But that was a weekend I was at a tournament too, so I didn't have a lot of opportunity to see Arkansas. So I watched a little bit of that yesterday, and Hagen Smith was on a pitch count, not because of any concern physically, at least as far as we know, but more so because, hey, everything got moved back a day. He's pitching on Saturday. We need him ready for next Friday to start SEC play. So he was on a little bit of a pitch count, but got through 4 really good innings. And then the pitching just generally continues to make up for the offense not being as strong as Arkansas is used to. And maybe that's just what this team is this year. I think that might be reality, and that might be okay. I mean, if they continue to pitch, as well as they have through this point of the season, that might be enough. I mean, certainly a team like Vanderbilt, although that Vanderbilt's offense has been better than I anticipated, is trying to win games a similar way. So I think it can be done. They got Peyton Stovall back. I know there are varying opinions on Peyton Stovall, but they got Peyton Stovall back yesterday, so that at least helps the depth, and he had a nice day, so that helps the quality and the depth of the lineup. So that can that's only a positive there. So a couple more wins for Arkansas yesterday. I think it's going to be a little bit of a work in progress offensively, but that's complimentary baseball, right? I mean, the pitching has been excellent, so there's a little bit less pressure on the lineup, and I'm sure some of those guys are pressing because they're starting to hear about how the lineup is lagging way behind the pitching. That's just kind of natural human nature stuff, but it has to be nice that they scored 3 runs in that game yesterday, and it was more than enough with Hagen Smith in the bullpen there. So Arkansas 3, McNeese 1 was the game of the day for me for those reasons. Let's talk player of the day. Let's talk candidates first, as I always do. Got my little notebook here to read off of. Jackson Beeman, in what was otherwise a tough day for Missouri, although they did win the nightcap there. 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and 2 walks. Corey Collins of Georgia, only 2 for 6 at the plate in at bats, but also walked 4 times, hit 2 home runs, drove in 6 runs. Reese Chapman for Tennessee, how about that? Big game for Reese Chapman, a guy who, they've given various opportunities and has just never totally put it together, and obviously is still working towards that. But as part of that 24-run outburst for Tennessee, Reese Chapman went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 6 runs batted in. Also, Blake Burke for Tennessee, 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 4 runs batted in. Cole Messina at South Carolina, they beat Longwood 2 for 3, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. Another big game there for him. Luke Hill from Ole Miss, a guy we haven't mentioned a ton, on weekend waypoints so far this season. But 2 for 2, 2 walks, 3 runs batted in there. And then Dakota Jordan, before I get to the actual player of the day, Dakota Jordan, another yesterday's player of the day, another big game, 2 for 3, a double, a home run, a walk, and 4 runs batted in. Hunter Hines also hit a home run in that game for Mississippi State. So maybe Dylan Cupp had a big hit, which they're still kind of waiting on him to come around. I think Dylan Cupp's defense is ahead of his offense. I don't think that. I know that. And so I think that's just kind of what this season's going to be for him. But, hitting one something is so it would be nice for the depth of Mississippi State's offense if Dylan Cupp were able to turn in more consistent at-bats. And he has lately. The hits just haven't necessarily been there, but got a big hit yesterday with an RBI double. So, but Dakota Jordan, again, like right in the middle of everything, largely carrying the offense, and how long can that go on? I don't know, but it sure is fun to watch him hit the way he is. But the player of the day was Gage Miller from Alabama. Days don't get a ton better than this. 7 for 10 in the doubleheader against Lipscomb, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in. He's just been so solid for that team this year. Guys like him and Justin LeBron being good right away have been, huge catalysts in getting this Alabama offense to be maybe at a higher ceiling than I was giving them credit for at the beginning of the season. That's what I've told when I've been on radio or podcasts for people this year, and they've asked me what surprised you. One thing I've said is that this Alabama offense looks really strong. I think we kind of assumed that Alabama would be maybe trying to win games the way Arkansas is right now. And maybe they will once SEC play gets underway, but right now they're really swinging it well. And that's been a little bit of a surprise to me how physical they've been offensively, and Gage Miller has certainly been a part of that. He flip over to the comments, see if we got thank you. Moonshine is thanking me, saying good, nice pullover. I got a little hoodie going on today, kind of a baggy hoodie. It is a little bit chilly this morning in the house, so I had to go with some outerwear. Okay, let's go to pitcher of the day. Carter Rustad for Missouri got the win in that nightcap. They really had to have, just for vibes reasons, if nothing else. Like, you couldn't lose 3 straight games to Purdue Fort Wayne. Woof. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Leighton Finley for Georgia in one of the games against Northern Colorado. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits with a run, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Drew Beam of Tennessee. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run with a walk and 5 strikeouts. Bryce Cunningham, and I considered this outing as pitcher of the day. Didn't quite get there, but 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, only one of which was earned, with no walks and 11 strikeouts. That's huge for Bryce Cunningham, continuing to see evidence that maybe he is a guy who's going to be able to hold down a rotation spot all season. That would be huge for this Vanderbilt team. Somebody with as big an arm as he has and as high a ceiling as he has to be able to be a week in, week out guy. And the idea that, he was, sure, it's Illinois State, but the fact that he was able to hang in there for 8 innings and be efficient enough to throw 8 innings, but still dominate the game that way, really impressive stuff for him. Greg Ferrone of Alabama, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Cal Steven, heck of an outing against Evansville, a good Evansville offense. I've said that the last 2 days. It's a pretty good offense. It's veteran, if nothing else. 6 innings pitched with a hit, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. But the pitcher of the day, Gage Jump, LSU, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs with 1 walk and 10 strikeouts. That's big as they continue to stretch him out, as they continue to get him fully back to, who he can be at his best. So yeah, the idea that he threw 5 strikeouts, it was shutout ball, but then, or 5 innings shutout ball, but then struck out 10. That's big for him, because it wasn't just struggling through 5 innings. It wasn't, hey, a bunch of strikeouts, but he only lasted 3 innings. It was the combination of he got us to the middle innings and he dominated and struck guys out. Really impressive stuff. So that 1-2 of Holman and Gage Jump just continues to be excellent. That duo is, they couldn't have asked for more. And that's not even me saying that as a cliche. I think that's true. I think that's actually true. Like, they couldn't have asked for any more than what those 2 guys have given them so far. Really impressive stuff. So Gage Jump, the pitcher of the day there from Saturday. A couple questions here in the chat. Yeah, Carl Dunn, going LSU going for the sweep today. Monster Milam is very impressive. Hard to keep him out of the lineup. Totally agree. He was a guy that I thought was going to get squeezed. I've talked about this before. You know, that they were talking about maybe Josh Pearson is our second baseman. Well, maybe we can take Brady Neal, the catcher, and teach him second base just to get his bat in the lineup. Maybe somebody else plays short and Michael Braswell slides over to second eventually. Like there were a lot of permutations that didn't involve Stephen Milam, and here he is. And it just seems like, speaking of vibes, guys, like it seems like he is kind of, I mean, he's got game, like clearly he's talented, clearly he's effective, but he also just seems like somebody who the team is rallying around. He's already kind of a cult hero for LSU fans. So he's been a revelation for them. And I've said this on the Highway to Hoover podcast that I think he's here to stay. Like, I think he's a guy for them. I don't know what his ceiling is, right? I mean, it's not even one of the comparisons that people make with him as Alex Bregman, because he's a middle infielder from New Mexico who's not tall, but Alex Bregman was thicker than he was, certainly now, but Alex Bregman was more physical from the jump. So I don't know. And I'm not an evaluator. I'm not a scout, but so I don't know what Stephen Milam's ceiling is. But man, like if he's what he is now, for the rest of time, like LSU will take that because he has been a revelation for them in their lineup. Moonshine says, why does Vandy wear ugly uniforms at home, black with white pinstripes? I don't know, man. Like they've had uniforms throughout time that I've liked at Vanderbilt, but most of them I'm not hugely in love with. I'm not a big uniform guy. I got to be honest with you. There are some combinations I like, but generally I could kind of take it or leave it. But I do agree, Vanderbilt has had some rough looks there through the years. My buddy Lindsey Crosby there. The vibes are legitimately important. That is absolutely true. I joke about vibes, but honestly, bad vibes will bring a very talented team to its knees very, very quickly. I'm circling back on the question from earlier today. Armstrong asked if I have 9 innings and I'm going to use one starting pitcher and one true reliever. So starting pitcher, I'm going to take Hagen Smith. Just because we know he has what he did against Oregon State in his bag, right? I mean, we can't expect that all the time, but like we know he's got that in his bag. So I will take that. And I'm actually going to go out of, now I know he's not necessarily been healthy. I'm actually going to go out of the SEC. And if you give me the healthy version of Tyson Neighbors from Kansas State, I think that's who I'm going with, because you can do 6 and 3. You get Hagen Smith through 6 dominant, and hey, if he can give you 7, great. But then Tyson Neighbors at Kansas State, if y'all haven't seen him pitch, and again, he's not been healthy this year, but like he's that type of reliever. It's like, hey, you're going to get 9 outs for us, and for all 9 outs, he's pumping like 97 miles an hour and wipe out breaking ball. It's really impressive stuff. So that's who I'd go with if they were both in the case of Neighbors being healthy. But that's a great question. Thank you again to Armstrong for always bringing great questions here. Matt Ridson in the chat says, watch out for Texas A&M this year. Totally agree. Can't wait to see them in SEC play. They've got Florida opening weekend of SEC play a week from now. With the way Florida's playing, even though that series is in Gainesville, like you have to like A&M's chances there, because Florida, as I said at the top, Florida just not playing well right now. So they're going to have to play better to beat a very good Texas A&M team. Texas A&M could be 17-0 going into SEC play. Heck of a start for the Aggies. Final thing today, the game of the day. I'm fascinated by Austin Peay at Auburn. I talked about that earlier. This Austin Peay team is not a fluke. They're not the most talented bunch, but they do have talent. We've seen some of that. They've got guys in the bullpen who throw hard. They've got guys with big time power. Shout out to Lyle Miller Green, who started his career at George Mason, I believe. Yes, George Mason, transferred to Oklahoma State, and now is back at a mid-major with Austin Peay. But big time power. So they've got John Gazdar, their shortstop. That's a really nice player. I saw him on the Cape over the summer. So they've got talent, but it's mostly that they play with, as Lindsay says, that in the chat, that Austin Peay team is scrappy. They do play with a ton of energy. If they play with a ton of injury, that would not be great. They play with a ton of energy, And that's their head coach, Roland Fanning. I mean, that guy, if nothing else, is like, a high energy to the max. He's the guy you may remember last season had a viral moment where he went out to argue with an umpire and then got kicked out. And like, as he's leaving the field, he's chugging a 2 liter of Mountain Dew, which was like the most on brand thing that Roland Fanning could have done in that moment. So he's just, that's his thing. His teams it's non-negotiable. You have to have energy and you have to play scrappy in that program. And sometimes it'll be good enough. Sometimes it won't be. And this weekend it's been good enough. I mean, they were, a couple plays away from winning that game on Friday too. So Auburn's going to have to come out and play well today to win that series, because Austin Peay's going to at least bring the energy. I'm also fascinated by St. Mary's at Florida. Same thing, rubber game. They got Jack Caglione on the mound for the Gators. Is he now the most consistent guy in their rotation? Like, if he pitches well today, I mean, I think we have to say that at this point, just because you've got a freshman in Liam Peterson in front of him, and then Cade Fisher, who we talked about yesterday, just hasn't put it all together yet as a starter. Caglione that's a tough bet to make. That a tough bet to make that Caglione is going to be your steadiest guy, given that the stuff is elite, but sometimes the command is not. But so far, he looks better this season in terms of that. And the reality of the situation is Florida needs him. Like, Florida needs the best version of Jack Caglione in the rotation right now, at least until they can figure some other things out. Moonshine in the chat says, hit the like button. Yeah, sure. Do that. I'm not very good at asking you guys to do the things that help me, promote this show. But yeah, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel for D1 Baseball. We do other stuff here, all of our other podcasts. Steven Schock has his particular brand of ridiculousness, and I say that with love. That stuff goes on YouTube. So there's other stuff there other than my bald mug on the YouTube page. So like that, subscribe, do whatever it is you do there. And also help the folks who support us. Today's sponsor, Active Wealth Management. Visit activewealth.com, click schedule a consultation to get a free 401k review, which is a $1,500 value at no cost to you. Thanks to Ford Stokes and Sam Davis at Active Wealth Management for being a part of Weekend Waypoints and the SEC Extra D1 Baseball team. We greatly appreciate them. Again, I ask that you support the people who support us, and certainly Active Wealth Management, part of that. All right, folks, enjoy the Sunday of baseball. Hopefully we get some more aesthetically pleasing baseball, but hey, if not, baseball is baseball. I know we're going to have a fun Sunday ahead of us. The sun is shining where I am. I hope it is shining where you are, and I will talk to y'all next Friday. Have a good one.